Mr. Flowers, there's been some suggestion, or at least it seems to be implied, that the vaccinations are efficacious in preventing some degree of infection to others. Could you talk about that, particularly as I remember in the filings, that the that the younger workers, the 20-year-olds who are unvaccinated, are actually safer than the older workers who are vaccinated. So there are obviously some differences. Would you just talk about how efficacious the vaccine is in the workplace?
So first I want to be very clear. We are strong promoters of vaccination because they do stop serious illness. In terms of stopping infection and transmission, at least with the current variant, it appears, as the numbers suggest, to be far less effective. And then in terms of the comparison you were asking about, I think it's hard to define what's a grave danger in the abstract. What we can at least mandate, or at least demand from the agency, is internal consistency. And if you look at their own data, the CDC data from the last week of October, unvaccinated individuals 18 to 29 were as likely to die as vaccinated 50 to 64-year-olds, and 5 times less likely to die than vaccinated 65 and up. Hospitalization was between 18 and 49, that's not even just the young, was about as likely as vaccinated 65 and up. If you look at the Griffin study that they cite at 61,418 of the Federal Register, unvaccinated and vaccinated both had low risks of death in ICU. As a societal matter, we are not debating that COVID is serious, and it is an incredibly grave risk for some people, not for everybody. And finally, I'd point you to the SCOTUS study. Again, they cite that 61,418 of the Federal Register says that vaccinated individuals who are 65 or older are twice as likely to die as unvaccinated individuals 18 to 49. And keep in mind that's 18 to 49, not 18 to 29. So it would probably be even more skewed if you looked at the younger demographic.
Would the state of Ohio have I'm not saying this would be an approach you would take, but you had earlier a discussion about whether or not the federal government had police powers in the workforce. And you suggested that the state has those police powers. Could the state of Ohio do what you say OSHA cannot do?
In terms of, yes, my position is the state of Ohio at least could mandate vaccinations not only for workers but for all individuals. Now, I think that's an important point to stress, as we're talking here as though OSHA is the only entity that can regulate this, an agency that no one thought had anything to do with the pandemic until months, if not years into it. But we have the states and we have private businesses, and they're not sitting on their hands. And individuals are doing things to try and bring this pandemic to a close, or at least learn to live with it. Indeed, this court, without any requirement from OSHA, has found ways to safely conduct business.
I think my point is rather that there seems to be a suggestion that this is all or nothing, that the other governmental bodies do not have police powers to regulate certain activities. And you've answered my question. Thank you.
Justice Breyer?
A quick question. I'm just curious. I was searching for an example. Universal risk inside and outside the workplace, including the workplace. Can OSHA regulate it? Can OSHA regulate fire risks?
Yes, we don't draw the distinction between...
If they can regulate fire risks, then why can't they regulate this risk?
Because the difference with the fire is that there's something about the workplace, for example, not providing safety equipment to put out the fire.
People throw matches. They smoke sometimes. Oh, they shouldn't, but they do. Or they throw a match. Or they, a lot of causes, such as crushing